Good morning, everyone, and thank you for joining us today. We have an exciting episode ahead, packed with valuable insights, so please stay with us until the end as we dive deep into the latest developments in generative AI. Let's get started. In our last deep dive, we really explored the darker side of generative AI, all the tough questions around ethics, misinformation, and copyright. But today, we're flipping the coin. We're going to look at a profoundly optimistic and, I think, revolutionary side of this tech, how it's becoming a partner in solving some of humanity's biggest real-world problems.
And this quote really sets the stage perfectly. For the last few years, all the buzz has been about AI creating things we recognize, art, music, text. But this question points to something much bigger. We're moving beyond AI as just an imitator of human creativity and into a whole new territory, AI as an instrument of human ingenuity.
To really get our heads around this shift, our journey today is broken down into 5 key parts. First, we'll define what this new scientific frontier for AI even is. Then, we'll dive into 2 massive real-world examples, designing new medicines and evolving physical objects. After that, we'll look at the cutting edge of automating discovery itself in robotics. And finally, we'll tie it all together to really understand what it means to have AI as our new partner in discovery. So let's start right there, with this fundamental paradigm shift. What does it really mean when we talk about moving from an AI that can write a poem to one that can tackle challenges with molecules, proteins, and machines? It's a really crucial distinction. You see, the models that generate text and images, they're trained on the vast archive of human culture. All our books, our art, everything on the internet. They learn the patterns of our symbolic languages. What we're talking about now is applying that exact same generative principle, but to the fundamental languages of the physical world. Think about it. Chemistry, biology, physics, they're their own complex languages with their own grammar and rules. When we train a large model on a colossal database of, say, molecules or protein structures, it doesn't just memorize them. It learns the underlying rules of how they work. And this allows the AI to shift from simple imitation to genuine innovation, generating entirely new solutions that actually obey the laws of physics and chemistry. That's a great way to frame it. Okay, let's make this more concrete with our first big case study, drug discovery. For decades, finding a new medicine has been an incredibly slow, expensive, and frankly, often luck-based process. Let's dig into why that is and how AI is completely changing the game.
Luck-based is putting it mildly. The traditional method is pure brute force screening. A pharmaceutical company has a library with millions of chemical compounds, and they essentially test them one by one against a disease target, just hoping for a hit. The analogy on the slide is perfect. It's like trying every single key on a keychain the size of a city to find the one that fits a new lock. It's a process that takes more than a decade, costs billions, and has a staggering failure rate, over 90%. Generative AI completely flips this script. Instead of searching for an existing key, the AI acts like a master locksmith. It studies the specific lock, the disease target, and then intelligently designs a brand new key from scratch, atom by atom, that's perfectly shaped to fit. It's a complete shift from screening to intelligent design.
Okay, but that's the part that I think is so hard to grasp. How can a language model, which understands text, possibly comprehend the complex 3D structure of a molecule? They seem like totally different worlds. Right, that's the magic trick, and it comes down to a really clever bit of translation called Smiles notation. It's a system that can represent a complex, 3-dimensional molecule as a simple 1-dimensional string of characters. Water just becomes O. Ethanol is CCO. This simple but profound idea transforms the entire problem of chemistry into a problem of linguistics. All of a sudden, the same AI architectures that power chatbots can be trained on a massive database of these molecular sentences and learn the grammar of chemistry itself.
So it's like we taught the AI a new language. How does that actually play out in a real-world lab? What's the new workflow look like?
It leads to this new, really collaborative workflow where the AI becomes a powerful co-pilot for the scientist. It's a true partnership. A human chemist starts by defining the problem, laying out the desired properties for a new drug. Then, a molecular LLM gets to work, generating thousands of novel molecules that fit those criteria. From there, other AI models filter and rank those candidates, presenting a short list of the best options to the human chemist. And they use their deep expertise to pick the most promising ones for real-world testing. A fantastic example of this is a company called In Silico Medicine. They use this exact process to find a novel drug for a fatal lung disease in less than 18 months. That's just a tiny fraction of the time it normally takes. And that drug has already successfully completed phase 2 clinical trials. It's happening now.
That's an amazing real-world result. Of course, to design a drug that hits a target, you first need to know the precise shape of that target. And this brings us to what was, for a very long time, one of the biggest unsolved problems in all of biology, the protein folding problem.
Exactly. For 50 years, this was a grand challenge. Proteins are these long, one-dimensional strings of amino acids, but their function is entirely dictated by the incredibly complex 3D shape they fold into. For decades, predicting that final shape from the amino acid sequence alone was considered nearly impossible. The number of ways a protein could fold is astronomically large, yet in our bodies, they just snap into the right shape instantly. Experimentally figuring out just one of those structures used to take a team of scientists years of work.
And this is where DeepMind had that huge breakthrough with AlphaFold, right? That's the one. The breakthrough came in 2020. And what's really fascinating here is the technical link back to the AI we're all familiar with. At the heart of AlphaFold is an attention mechanism, which is the same core idea that powers large language models. But instead of learning relationships between words in a sentence, AlphaFold learned the relationships between amino acids in a protein chain. By training on all known protein structures, it learned the deep, unspoken rules of physics and chemistry that govern folding. It essentially solved the problem. And what DeepMind did next was just as important. They used AlphaFold to predict the structure of over 200 million proteins and released the entire database to the world for free. This single act has become a massive accelerator for all of biological science.
So, from the nanoscale of proteins, let's zoom out, way out, to the macroscopic world of engineering. How are these same generative principles being applied not to molecules, but to the physical parts that make up our cars, our planes, and all kinds of machines?
So the process is called generative design. And just like with drug discovery, it flips the traditional workflow on its head. A traditional engineer, they use their experience, their intuition, and they manually draw a part in a CAD program. They are defining the solution. In generative design, the engineer defines the problem. They tell the AI the constraints. Okay, the part needs to attach here and here, it has to withstand these forces, use this material, and don't put anything in these zones. The AI then takes that problem definition and explores the entire universe of possible shapes to find the one that is mathematically optimal. It literally evolves the solution.
And the results that come out of this process they look bizarre. They don't look like anything a human would design. They look totally alien. They're organic, skeletal, more like a bird's bone or the root system of a tree. And that's because the AI has zero preconceived notions of what a bracket or a hinge is supposed to look like. It just ruthlessly removes every single gram of unnecessary material, putting strength only where it's absolutely needed. The structures might be counterintuitive to us, but they are a pure, mathematical expression of optimal performance.
That makes perfect sense. Can you give us a concrete example where this is making a real difference? Absolutely. The automotive and aerospace industries are huge adopters of this, because for them, weight equals fuel, and fuel equals cost and emissions. BMW used generative design for their i8 Roadster. They needed to redesign the bracket for the convertible roof mechanism. The solution the AI generated was an incredible 44% lighter than the original part, and it was also significantly stronger. That's a massive improvement that would be almost impossible to get through manual human design.
Now, a crucial point here is that you probably can't make these bizarre, optimal shapes with traditional manufacturing, like casting or milling, right?
No way, you just can't. And this is where generative design forms a perfect partnership with additive manufacturing, or 3D printing. Because 3D printing builds a part layer by layer from a digital file, it can create these incredibly complex geometries with ease. This combination of AI design and 3D printing is kicking off a whole new era of high-performance engineering. And it has huge sustainability benefits too, since you only use the material that's absolutely necessary, which dramatically reduces waste.
Okay, so far we've seen how AI can design things, molecules, physical parts. But now let's get into what might be the most mind-bending application yet. What happens when generative AI starts to design not just objects, but the very process of learning itself, specifically for robotics?
This is the absolute frontier. To teach a robot a complex skill using reinforcement learning, you have to write something called a reward function. It's basically a piece of code that gives the robot points for good behavior and takes them away for bad behavior. Now that sounds simple, but in reality it's an enormous challenge. For a complex skill, like teaching a robotic hand to spin a pen, writing that reward code by hand is incredibly tedious and it often just fails. Human engineers spend countless hours just tweaking these functions through trial and error. It's a major bottleneck in robotics research.
And this is where a system developed by NVIDIA researchers called Eureka comes in.
Exactly.
Eureka is an incredible demonstration of this new paradigm. It uses a large language model, specifically a coding model like GPT-4, to automatically write the reward function code. The LLM reads the simulation's code to understand the physics, writes a reward program it thinks will work, and then it watches how the robot performs. Based on that feedback, it reflects on what went wrong and iteratively rewrites and improves the code, all without any human supervision. The image here really shows the result. The robot's performance using Eureka's reward quickly learns to spin the pen, a task that was pretty much infeasible for human programmers to solve before.
Okay, so it can solve tasks humans can't, but how does it compare on tasks that humans can solve? Is it actually better?
The data is really compelling. This chart compares the performance of robots trained with Eureka's auto-generated rewards against robots trained with rewards that were meticulously handcrafted by expert researchers. For several of these complex tasks, like opening a drawer or closing a door, Eureka's performance is dramatically higher than that of the human experts. So it's not just automating the process, it's consistently generating better, more effective solutions than humans can.
So what's the broader impact here? What does this mean for robotics research overall? This final graph really shows it. Better reward functions lead to better, faster learning. The blue line represents the average learning curve using Eureka's rewards. The purple line is for the human-designed rewards. You can see the blue line rises faster and reaches a higher success rate. This is called improved sample efficiency. It means the robot learns the desired skill more quickly and effectively. By automating and optimizing reward design, Eureka is breaking a fundamental bottleneck in robotics research, accelerating our ability to teach machines complex skills.
Wow, we've covered drug design, protein folding, generative engineering, and even automating the learning process for robots. As we wrap up, let's just synthesize all of these incredible examples and talk about the overarching role of AI as this new partner in discovery.
I think this quote captures it perfectly. The common thread through every single example we've discussed is that the AI is acting as an incredible force multiplier for human intellect. In drug discovery, it navigates the astronomical space of possible molecules. In biology, AlphaFold charted the complex landscape of protein structures. In engineering, it explores millions of design permutations. And in robotics, it searches the vast space of possible reward functions. In every case, the AI is a co-pilot, augmenting our own creativity by exploring possibilities far beyond the scope of human intuition. It is not about replacing us, it's about helping us discover solutions to our hardest problems faster.
That's such a powerful way to put it. So just to recap for everyone listening, we've really traced this journey from AI as just an imitator of human culture into its new and frankly much more exciting role as a true instrument of ingenuity. We saw that huge paradigm shift in medicine from brute force screening to intelligent drug design, all enabled by AI's ability to speak the language of chemistry. We explored how solving the protein folding problem has become this incredible accelerator for biology. We saw how generative design is evolving stronger, lighter physical objects that seem almost alien. And finally, we saw how systems like Eureka are automating the process of discovery itself. It's truly amazing.
And the implications of this are obviously vast, especially for how we work and the future of our jobs. And that's actually the perfect setup for our next deep dive, where we'll be tackling exactly that: how generative AI is transforming work and your job. You will not want to miss it.
Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this, please subscribe, like, and share. And don't forget to hit the bell for more from Tech AI and beyond.